Welcome to Allegedly Higher, where humor, insight, and passion collide with higher education. Hosted by Dr. Aaron and Dr. Candace. Join them as they dive into headlines, interview leaders, and challenge norms. From dismantling systems to championing equity, this podcast is your go-to for transforming the ivory tower. Let's get into it.
Well, welcome to Allegedly Higher. This is season 2. We're
Season
so proud.
2, yes.
For those of you just joining us, welcome. This is a podcast where we dissect issues in higher education through a human-centered lens, spiced up with some pop culture. I'm Dr. Aaron, and my lovely co-host is Dr. Candace Jackson.
Hello, hello.
Happy New Year. Although we said it to each other, but Happy New Year for the purpose of this recording.
All right. Happy
You ain't got
New
nothing to say
Year.
about the New Year, huh?
Listen, this is still January. Oh my God, this is still
It feels
January.
like
This is the longest January in recorded history.
December C, not even B.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I know.
Yeah.
We are still getting the hang of this podcast, but we're probably gonna have to either figure out how to pre-record to last it until December. We have a good run. Fourth quarter tore us up.
We did not handle crunch time.
We tried, y'all.
We did not come in the clutch, but we did try. We did try. We scheduled it.
It's been on the calendar. It's just
Oh my gosh.
Hey. We recording Friday? No, it's fine.
All right.
It's fine.
I love it. Yes.
But we're happy to be back. I'm still just feeling like I'm getting back to myself. 17 days in. January 1, start off with a bang. Terrorist act in almost my hometown, New Orleans. Back I literally, I rolled over, looked at my phone, saw all the little headlines, and I literally put the phone down and rolled back over and went to sleep. I was like, I can't do it today. It'll be there tomorrow.
It's like, we laughed about, all of 2024. We wanted Katt Williams to close the portal. Clearly it's still open. My niece is in New Orleans. And, I knew she wouldn't be down there. Like, I know that. But still, it's scary to think, as bad as that was, it could have been worse. And that what are people thinking, and what has happened to our humanity for whatever reason, for whatever that you've created in your mind, the inhumanity of it all.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you also have to worry about, you have people's lives. You've got the Super Bowl coming up, the throngs of people that will be in that area and on that street again. We have to get back to a sense of humanity in a lot of ways.
But that's the nature and culture. I know people say, y'all are resilient, blah, 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 after Katrina. But in reality, they postponed the Sugar Bowl, 24 hours, and nothing ever happened.
Right.
Families are just now having funerals. One young man was buried actually down the street from me.
Wow.
His family in a meet. I know we have listeners all over the country.
Right.
It's not even a speck on the map, y'all. It's a little city north of New Orleans. But it's just it was just a horrible way to start the year. But even in that, we do have some year, we can't say, oh, this is gonna be bad. We just have to keep living every day and just take it day by day and find the good every day.
Right. That's true. Because in the next couple of days, we'll be entering into a new normal for the next 4 years.
I'm disconnected.
Um,
I'm disconnected.
you
I'm not in
disconnected
this reality.
again. The longest January ever, I have been attending TikTok funerals.
Well,
You know,
I mean, they
so
holding the body. They holding the
they hold the
body, and
body. We'll see. Just and I think even more now than I've also joined with Red Note, so you know,
I can't get you there. I'm on Fanbase only simply because I'm
I'm
an investor, but I do think every day I'm getting like followers. Like it was a minute. I've been on Fanbase and not gotten any new followers since I first opened. What, 4 years ago, 5 years ago? But now I like I get a buzz and say I have new followers, so I might be able to do some things on the business side over there that I could not have done.
well,
Um,
I am downloading Fanbase as we speak, so I'll make sure that I'm switching over since you're an investor.
Thank
Um,
you kindly. If we do get that Facebook, Bill Gates, Microsoft money, we
right.
all going on the Carl's cruise.
Yes, yes, we need it. We need it. Oh my
I don't
god.
think it's gonna be enough to buy us a yacht, but I can take us on
I'll
a yacht
I'll
like
take
cruise.
listen, I'll take the I'll just take a couple of days. That's all I need really. Shout out to my father who's celebrating 75 years tomorrow. On the
Yay!
18th, he'll be 75. So he says he
Mr.
doesn't do
Allen.
he says he doesn't do birthdays, but he is having one. So as long as he's having one, we celebrate. So
Good
yeah,
thing.
happy
Good thing.
birthday, pops.
Well, let's end our look, before we hop into pop culture, let's end since I'm thinking about this like Marvel, the MCU, like there's
Right.
an MCUs have different numbers. I'm not in this. So what are you looking forward to in your universe for 2025 that's good?
Well, I think I am going to be actively trying to seek an agent,
Mhm.
a literary agent.
Mhm.
We have a small publishing company as well and working with self-published authors. But I also think that there's some deals can be made, and I think I'm ready to pursue that and finding an agent to connect us with larger publishers and distribution,
Mhm.
as well as for my own work. And I'm thinking about, I write fiction, the romance novel space, but I'm also been doing a little bit of poetry as well. So I'm thinking about that
And
and
short
make
story.
yeah, and some short stories. I
She
just
left
sent
me
you one.
hanging.
Yeah,
Where is the rest of it?
I know, right? But maybe that's the point. I don't know. Um, so I'm thinking about getting more into my publishing, and I want a successful fifth year. I'm also director of the Jackson Film Festival, so this is our anniversary fifth year. We
So
hoping that
we're not on video because
right.
we're not decent. But she has on a Jackson Film Festival shirt right now.
I do actually. And so we're celebrating the anniversary of Oh Brother We're Out There. We're talking about
Mhm.
music and film and soundtracks and sound engineering and that kind of thing. So that's
Fun
going to be great.
fact,
And
my high school
hopefully,
course, yeah, my high
yes,
school course did most of that soundtrack. So I will be gleefully singing along this year.
we may do a sing along actually. So, and the other thing, I think if I can finish and get the cognitive rest and space to finish book 3, Riding Shotgun, we shall see, to finish out the third book in that Jackson and Love series. So that's
We're
what
going to
I know.
finally do our writer's retreat with our third
Yes.
year. So
Yes.
I can start my book. I've outlined my last book in the series. You have to finish yours.
I do. I do.
Our
And
has
it's
to update hers, and so we just need to just do it. That's all of our goals for 2025 is get something started
yeah.
publishing or to finish being published.
Yes, I am officially 50 and half 100, so I got to get it done because this is what 50 is, getting it done. Um, and I'm on the road to retirement, so we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but my millennial friends keep me young.
Is that me?
Yes, Yes, yes.
Oh, so that's so crazy. I had two, at least I didn't get a chance to celebrate on your birthday, but I had like 3 50-year-old parties within a month. I was like, is this my life?
You hanging out with the seasoned saints.
I'm happy. Y'all are my buddies. Y'all keep me together. But yeah, I echo some of your goals as well. I do want
Mm-hmm.
to start my book.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to, on the business side, get more contracts, especially on the higher ed side. I'm ready to go back. It's been a minute since I've
Mm-hmm.
been in my true higher ed consulting bag. I think I've taken enough of a break. We've
Mm-hmm.
had some exposure. We did the meetup. We're going to do the meetup again. But just getting our feet wet and in a different space when it comes to higher ed, doing this podcast,
Yeah.
is to grow bigger, get more followers, maybe join a podcast network. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Have a few in mind. Probably just one.
Just
Uh,
what?
One,
I
maybe
love it.
two. I don't know if Club Shay Shay look like he's accepting some people, right?
Okay, okay.
Um,
I love to chop it up with him at Ocho.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to 2025. It's been I don't want to say a rough. I've been in transition from
Mm-hmm.
leaving my full-time job to being a full-time entrepreneur and pursuing both
Mm-hmm.
leadership coaching and doing the higher ed consulting. It's been a scary roller coasters. I hate roller coasters in real life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but this feels like one. When they don't have them anymore. What's the Texas roller coaster? What's the Texas park that used to be open?
What, the Six Flags?
Six Flags. It feels like the Batman ride on Six Flags, in which you are not only going up, but you're upside down, going up and down and twists and turns. That's how I
Yes.
feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Screaming all the way to the top of my lungs until it ended.
But here's the thing about them. Even though you're screaming, it will all end.
Yes,
Yep.
eventually. And you still
Eventually
feel
it
like you're
will end.
moving. You still feel like
But it will end. The trouble don't last always. It
all
will
right,
end.
Pastor Jackson. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to 2025 I'm turning 40 this year. So we are exactly 10 years apart.
Yes. Yes.
Um, and I'm excited. I might celebrate. I don't know how I'm going to celebrate. My doctor told me, she's like, "Oh, you're turning 40. What are you going to do?" The funny part, it was my gynecologist, and she asked the question during the exam, and I'm like, I can't. I don't know until you.
Till you finish this.
We'll see. So when she was leaving, she's like, "Make sure you celebrate. You got to celebrate. This is a big year." So
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
excited for 40. All the rest of my friends are turning 40
Oh, that's wonderful.
this year. We just need to have one huge party and just get it over with.
And maximize your
Yeah,
resources.
yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, that's to cheers to 2025 and us living outside of this MCU universe.
Yes. I think it's time for more creative pursuits, as I said earlier, because that's our humanity,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think that is where we need to all get back to. And I think in having these creative outlets has been so helpful in centering
Mm-hmm.
myself. So I think
Mm-hmm.
definitely when we have the writers retreat, we'll have a good time and
Yeah.
get some work
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. And to everybody else, just do what's best for you. This is whether it's turning off the news. I've now put blocks on all my social media. I may, if I'm not busy, I may get 1 hour. I may have realized that I do have my hour is available if I haven't worked through it. But
Mhm.
it's huge for my mental health. Turn off some things. Do what's best for you, because a lot of people are doing what's best for them.
That's right.
And particularly the people who's running our country. So do what's best for you. Do what's best for the people around you.
Mhm.
Practice the humanity that we want to see our leaders have.
Yes.
But really be kind to yourself. That's my word for 2025. It might get rough, but during these times, the best ideas come out, really good things come out, change happens for the best. So yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
All of our pop culture is like hot. I don't
Yes.
know. I don't know why it's so hot. Maybe it's just the planning out of it all, but like literally hot off the press.
Yeah.
Um, so first, and I scared y'all. I scared Candace yesterday because she had thought that somebody had gone to glory. And
Are
I
we?
said, no, 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 no. Hold on. Hold on. I was like, did you see it? Did you see? Oh no, don't she didn't started the funeral cry, and I had to tell her this is not happening. It's the opposite. So the opposite was Wendy Williams did an interview on the Breakfast Club yesterday morning, and I'll read, and then we'll give. I want to, give some real facts. So she did the Breakfast Club interview. It was by phone. She wasn't there in person, and this is why she wasn't there in person. She's been in her words locked away in a luxury prison, which is I think
Mm-hmm.
maybe like it's not a mental facility. I think it's more along, it's not even elderly care, but I think it's a nursing home, for lack of better words, this morning. And she's described her court mandated financial guardianship initiating 2022 after Wells Fargo froze her accounts. She said it was a form of prison and emotional abuse. She revealed that she lacks access to her money. She actually said she only has $15. She doesn't have technology and even basic communication tools like a cell phone, leaving her unable to receive calls or connect with others. So there must be, I was trying to figure out how she can get calls in, because I think she can call out from her room, but
Wow.
she doesn't have a cell phone. They've been priming this interview for quite a while. Charlemagne from the Breakfast Club has said, I've been talking to Wendy, seems like every day for the past couple of weeks. Lauren LaRosa, who's a guest, she needs to become a permanent host. I love Jess.
Yeah.
They need 4. I don't want nobody to lose their job. I need 4. She needs to be on here. But she was actually was on the phone with Lauren the day before the interview. Lauren was trying to go visit her as proof that she couldn't get up. But yeah, all of this is at the hands of a court appointed guardian, Sabrina Morrissey, which was appointed May 2020. The crazy thing is that Morrissey is suing A&E for that Lifetime documentary, which I did not like. It was hard for me to watch. Where's Wendy Williams? Which exploited Williams' vulnerable condition. But Miss Sabrina, you signed off on it, and now you're suing them for saying they exploited y'all? Make it
Exactly.
make sense.
Well, it's the profit off the exploitation of Wendy. It's profitable to say, I signed off on this documentary, but I didn't sign off on the final edit.
Well, documentaries is what you see is what you get.
Right.
It's a documentary.
Right.
So if they saw something that they reported and you didn't like what they reported.
But I think, in my cultural criticism of this entire thing, because I looked this woman up. Y'all let this white woman be over Wendy. Let me just go on and put it out there. A white woman, little W, big H, a white woman is over Wendy Williams, a black female who made it in the hardest market alive, right? New York City. If you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere, which is what she has done. Emmy Award winning woman. And where did you all, we have so much elder abuse, and Wendy is 60 in this country at the banks now. They don't stop it when a little old lady or an old man comes in with somebody who's clearly not related to them, who takes out all of their money because they've scammed them into taking them to the bank. What made y'all freeze her accounts as an adult woman who has a son, who has an adult son, who has siblings, who has parents.
Who has a
What
niece that also did who's been, I think it's sounds like she's almost like a daughter. She's been on
right.
the view speaking on behalf of her aunt and did the
So
interview with her yesterday.
what made the bank, unless this is a modern day money grab
Hmm.
for this black woman's money, and then to add the insult to injury, this is what this attorney does. And I guess we're entering, a free Wendy Williams movement, because it is slavery. It is enslavement of the black body, that she is confined to this one room apartment in a personal care home, nursing home, whatever you want to call it, against her will. And she said, I heard snippets of it. She sounds very competent. Now, had she beforehand, drunk a little too much, blah, 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 and had sort of an alcohol induced cognitive impairment, that can happen. But it sounds clearly that if she has, medical advice, who are Wells Fargo and Miss Sabrina Morrissey, to withhold her money.
And they won't do, I think she even mentioned, or either the niece mentioned, why not do another medical evaluation now? And so I sit in the middle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sit in the gray area. She could have the alcohol induced dementia, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She could be lucid now, and she could need some help with her affairs. My thing is, if that's I believe that's the gray area that we're in, let her family take care of that. Turn it over to her real attorney, which there's another name once I find it. Roberta Kaplan
Mm-hmm.
commented this morning, basically, don't be fooled by the that she's not sick. She is sick. She has good days and bad days. The Breakfast Club was like, well, she's been having a lot of good days. So I don't understand that. That's not her attorney. That is their attorney for the conservatorship.
See, what you also it also needs to be investigated is how much money these attorneys are making in their fees.
Yeah.
On keeping people like Britney Spears and Wendy Williams under this conservatorship. Excuse me, this conservatorship, because that's their bread and butter. This is all that she does. Sabrina Morrissey. This is their bread and butter. What are their fees in doing this? Because this is legalized enslavement and financial abuse.
Questions.
Yeah.
Can you name any?
Allegedly.
Yeah. Can you name any men who's been under conservatorship?
Nope, not at all.
Mm-hmm. If Wendy needs to be in a conservatorship, so does Kanye West.
Okay, let's just say it.
Even Bieber at his worst, I don't think he's in conservatorship.
Right.
Who else can we name? Robert Downey Jr. at his worst.
Right. He was not no, he was not, and he almost lost everything, including his life.
Hell, Tyrese.
At some point, right? And so, okay. And so all of these, that's saying a lot, because there are some men who have, they've died broke, they've, penniless, homeless, they've been relying on, and so there's this sort of cocoon around them to be protected, and yet women are not. And particularly in this case, the racial implications for me.
Yeah.
Just for me, y'all.
Yep.
For me, and the fact that she's not being reevaluated every 6 months. Let's see how she is, because she sounds extremely lucid. People have talked to her at various points, and she's lucid.
Mm-hmm.
So if she's not having access to alcohol, then maybe something has, not saying she's not ill, but that something has then reversed, which is highly medically possible, that she can take care of herself. Now, what that means is she goes to AA if she had a problem, and that she's checked and she's given whatever proper precautions, like you do with anybody else. But my question is, at what point does the bank decide that there's something wrong with me as a regular human being, that you decide you're going to freeze my account and put me under conservatorship?
Yeah, that's the crazy part.
That's the scary thing about the right that I have as a person, and an institution who doesn't know me from Adam's house cat making some decisions, or having a person make decisions for me without, and I have family.
And that's the thing. She didn't ask to go back to radio. She didn't ask for another brand deal. She didn't ask.
Right.
She asked to go to Sephora to buy her 87-year-old dad a gift and see him on his birthday next month. That was the part she cried over. She was like, this is crazy. She's like, I want to be home. I want to be in Miami. I want to be with my family. She didn't ask for anything. And I feel like I'm not even in gerontology.
Right.
But just knowing of how even our regular minds work is that you got to be around people so you don't go crazy. You got to go outside so you don't go crazy. You have to have some type of mental, emotional stimulation so you can't, like, the body needs that.
Right.
So if this is truly about her health.
We learned this in COVID. The isolation, right? The isolation, not being with family. Yeah.
So even like, why are y'all holding her in New York is the question. Put her in a home in Miami. Give her access to her family. But y'all not giving no one access. Even the family had to fight to get to her, which is insane.
I really feel bad for little Kevin, because he is an only child.
His daddy
and his mama's only child. I mean, you know, you're only child. So, and as one myself, there is nothing that would keep me from my mother. And he may not have the means, he may not have the guidance himself. But what I realized, but see, when you're keeping somebody who is clearly lucid, I mean, she did a whole interview, clearly lucid. She's talked to people on multiple days off camera, clearly lucid. Because if she gets to Miami and y'all figure out that there's nothing wrong with her, then you can move to fight the conservatorship. But as long as you tell people who can't see her every day or can't talk to her every day that she is unwell, then you can keep up your fees.
Yep.
And your imprisonment.
Yep.
Allegedly, your alleged imprisonment. And so I think the 92% need to get behind this, because if it happens to her, it can happen to any one of us.
I agree.
And what you cannot do, and if I ever make it big and have more than $50 in the bank, what you cannot do is assign, as a Black woman from the great state of Mississippi, what you cannot do is assign a white woman to tell me how to spend my money. No offense to my white sisters out there and brothers and whoever's listening, but what you cannot do is do that.
Not in America. Not in America.
Not here. No, ma'am. Now Aaron might cut that part out, but I'm just telling you.
I don't like to edit anything, so.
But I'm just
not technologically edit.
The optics of this is really very much institutionalized systemic racism.
Yeah. And I mean, if we want to go further, like we just said, it's a little bit of now I lost the word for it. Again, we've only seen conservatorships work in terms
of women.
And even that's my last comment, is there's speculation that the judge has done this. She has hands in different cases like this.
Well, so. we need to get Olivia Benson on the case.
And Olivia Pope.
Olivia Pope.
Oh God! Even throw in
Annalise.
Wait, with word murder.
We're throwing Annalise. Watch out. I know.
2025, we thought we might be end of beefs. I, we are not. This is the funniest one yet to me. One,
Hmm.
because I love both of these men.
Right. Okay.
I love them so much.
I just have such a feeling that this is not going to.
I don't know. I think it's gonna be carried out special after special, and I love that it's being kept in a comedic way.
Uh huh.
Unlike the story after this that we're gonna attach to this, right? So
Okay.
again, hot off the press, got up this morning. I had I had a notification that Jamie, rumor has it that Jamie Foxx Jamie Foxx throws shade at Katt Williams in an interview. And so I went to listen to it. So I do like these particular interviews. So when things come out or big things happen, Complex Magazine has this GOAT Talk where it's
Hmm.
two great people in their fields interviewing each other, and they ask these questions
Hmm.
about greatest of all time, and it's like fill in the blank: greatest of all time movie, greatest of all time actor, greatest of all time, blah blah blah. So, and this he's doing this with Cameron Diaz. And so she pulls the card, greatest of all time cuss word. He says, it's not a cuss word. I have a cuss sentence. And so I've been trying to figure out how to do this because I don't want to embarrass my church.
You want
So it's a
right?
B made a N word. And
Okay.
here's the sentence. It's a lot of dashes in that.
Okay.
And he was like, particularly be made in words who weigh 128 pounds, usually small comedians.
Well, there's one of two.
So he was like, and so I think Cameron instigated this. I don't know if that was the blonde or it was Cameron because the interview showed that she is down, or I can see where they're good friends. So Cameron Diaz inquired, how many 128-pound comedians do you know? He's like, it's quite a few of them, but it's one in particular. He was like, I'll just leave it at that. A lot of little MFers.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is in response to, if you watch Jamie Foxx, and I say that you do.
Yeah.
Dr.
Yeah.
Jackson is a comedic philosopher.
I do. I do. I actually taught a whole class on the politics of Black
Yeah, she's a
comedy. Yeah.
comedic philosopher, so it just goes her knowledge goes past just watching specials. But I
Yeah.
do think that you should watch Jamie Foxx's special on Netflix. I actually got Netflix
Yeah.
back for that.
Yeah. It was a very good special.
And I actually went back to watch Dion Cole. That's a side note we ain't talked about in our personal conversations.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was so they've been going back and forth in specials, right?
Hmm.
So Jamie Foxx talked about how Katt Williams came out and said that Jamie was a clone, and he made a joke in his special. Katt goes back in his special and talk about Jamie Foxx had a butt naked basketball party. Um, and so but I don't know where it is because Katt was like, I'm watching Jamie Foxx special. Why am I crying at a effing comedy special?
Right. Right. There are some moments, and I think this was not just Jamie, making comedy. This was cathartic in a lot of ways. A lot of I can't remember the Jared Carmichael's last special, not the series, y'all, not the series, which was very introspective, and I think the best we have to understand that comedy comes out of tragedy, right? Whether it's social tragedies, whether it's political tragedies, and then personal tragedies. But I think it was important for Jamie to tell it in a comedic space because he feels comfortable in that space. But yeah, there were some moments that were so heartfelt and in a different space. So if you were just going to laugh and he was going to tell you that, allegedly Diddy drugged him and all of that, before the special came out. But there was some really heartfelt moments.
Yeah.
And he talked, and part of that was him talking about being a clone, or people saying he was a clone. I think this is just two comedians who are going back and forth.
It's hilarious.
And
I
having
don't know how this gonna
having
be
some
cleared
fun.
out.
It's like the anti-beef, because we both know that they're gonna make jokes, and we'll see them in about 6 months at a party, and they'll be taking a picture together, or they'll be doing something like with their hands up, like they're about to fight. I think real comedians know that this is what comedians do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, when it gets serious, you want to talk about some real beefs. Now, you talk about the alleged beefs between Mark Curry and Steve Harvey. Now, that's a real beef. He's not.
Yeah.
They are. They are not playing. Mark Curry is not playing when he talks about Steve Harvey. And hell, neither was Katt when he was talking about it. But when comedians are serious about who they don't mess with. But this, I think, even in that space of being with Cameron Diaz and you make an off the cuff remark, I think that's just fun banter about, that's just the nature of comedy, and heckling each other even in absentia. It's just not. But now, if it starts to keep going back and forth, and it gets a little really, really personal, yeah.
I get. I mean, I'm with Jamie if they ever do rumble.
But
I can think about Jamie taking down. You remember when Dave Chappelle, that crazy man,
Oh yes,
rushed the stage, and so Dave realized that he should have been talking about the whole thing, because we don't know who bent the dude back like a paperclip, because he was folded. Like, that was the physical manifestation of getting folded.
Right.
He said he just saw Jamie Foxx running from I forgot the name of the theater in Los Angeles, that outside theater. He just saw Jamie Foxx in a cowboy hat speeding towards the stage to like bum rush the dude.
Right.
Before the security got to him. So we know Jamie.
He bad about it.
That's what I'm saying. Hopefully don't come to that.
He bad about it.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't come to that. But yeah, Lord, 2025 is.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this is the anti-beef, because one thing I do not want my favorite comedians to be beefing. I don't need to be pulled in those kind of directions. You mentioned Deion Cole. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
He had to evacuate during the LA fires, and he had just come out of the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
What gets me as again an only child, and Deion Cole is an only child, and his special about his special Charlene's boy, that something was off, and still I think he's still working through that. And as someone who has lost their mother, and it's a club that you don't want to be in, but you recognize it, you recognize the functional pain that you kind of work through, and in some spaces. But he's driving away, he's making a video, and he's talking about, I got the last flowers that my mom,
mom. I ain't even seen you that. I was like, I'm gonna let her find it. If she find it, she find it.
Yeah, I found it. But it's for him, and I've seen him live since her passing, and I know still I can see it. It's almost like a like calls to like I'm looking at him, I'm laughing, the jokes are funny, but there's something still dead, right?
It's a veil.
Yeah, it is. And his comedy will he's gonna always be funny. But I think he will approach it differently, because then you have to find a new purpose. But watching him drive away, having just gotten out of the hospital, and that in his evacuation, that was one of the things that he had to grab. Because I can't imagine what that feels like in that moment, that you have to grab the remaining. Right. Yeah. So yeah, comedy again is born out of, it's to make people laugh through tragedy, pain. It's oral blues, it is And so hopefully that this is just the anti-beef, and they'll go back and forth and trade some barbs, but at the end of the day that they respect each other. Though, that wouldn't have been my favorite. My favorite, as you well know, ends on a hard K. So y'all can figure out what that one is. So I've been my favorite. I would have thought it would have been that one. It's very simple. It delivers the punch you need. You don't have to add any other syllables to it like some people do. We know that Sam Jackson has a favorite. Vice President Harris, at least until the 20th, she has a favorite. But mine is very simple. One syllable, ends on a hard K. So
yeah.
Don't ever ask me that question.
I'm gonna deny it. I don't have it. I don't curse.
No, okay.
Once a year, there's a couple things I have to go back in the archives to search and look for. One is the interview with Big Boy of Jamie Foxx ripping Terrence Howard to shreds.
Oh my God, I remember that.
I have to look at that at least once a year.
And
the other is my words are escaping me. Gosh, Webby reading, it's the cartoon, it's this voiceover of him trying to read those scripts and those radio tags for the Breakfast Club, and he could not pronounce nobody's name.
Oh my goodness.
Things, but because
you have to.
Yeah, I gotta watch Bad Days. If I just need a quick laugh, I will look at those things.
Oh my God.
Knowing how Jamie Foxx has surgically taken down people, he always try to keep peace. They always say Jamie's the nicest person you've ever met. You can't get to that status without kind of having that rumor. But when he gets in his comedy bag,
oh my God,
you can't I don't know what possessed Terrence Howard to say the R&B albums that I still listen to straight through is Jamie's first two albums.
Oh my God, the first one definitely stays in rotation. But so Jamie's I Might Need Security comedy show is like when he hits J-Lo, when he hits LL, because again, one of my favorite movies of all time, I would put in my top 20 is Any Given Sunday, director's cut, right? Because it gave Bill Bellamy the director's cut gives Bill Bellamy more airtime, and I love Bill Bellamy as well. So the ways I act when LL was taking that whole method acting thing, and he was like, "We got a game." He was like, "We don't have a game. I act." Or I remember when it was it's. But
classic.
But back to Terrence Howard, I have that album, and I listened to that one song because and I think I was working at the record store at the time, so I got it as a promo. But I still have.
You didn't even buy it.
No, I don't. No. But
Jamie said it went paper.
It's like he believed that he was still Quentin. And the scene where he's doing, he's playing the guitar and he's still Quentin, and he and it's not a bad song, but we're talking about, so one thing I will tell you completely about Terrence Howard, having watched his career from his, his evolution, he's going to always play the same, a-hole. But, he has a type. But he believes in himself. If you want to teach confidence, Terrence Howard is confidence personified. He believes in himself. And I've seen him on Broadway. When I tell you, he believes in himself. The man is trying to convince us that 1 + 1 = 3. I'm telling you, he believes. He walked around before we knew it was for the series with Kevin Hart. He walked around with that perm because that's who he is.
He walked around with
is over.
in New Orleans. He went to before it was the Pelicans, he went to a basketball game in New Orleans in a zoot suit.
So what I'm saying is, yeah, but you know,
you're not a comedian. I don't know. You're not even a singer. Why would you attempt to open your mouth and I like Jamie as a person, but I don't think his music is really music. Like, why would you open that door?
you mean the Oscar winner, the Grammy? Listen. As Jamie said, you can lay the pipe now. Yeah, that's always a moment.
Do yourself a favor and Google Jamie Foxx roast Terrence Howard on the Big Boy Morning Show.
Jesus, yeah, we
The
love
best
it.
ever. I can't. I once or twice a year. Speaking of confident, speaking of,
we almost slipped up. Listen. We are both active in our church homes, right? I am president of my mission circle, so we have to be. We try to be mindful in the 2-5. She almost slipped up, but she did. She caught herself. Go ahead, girl. Let me do it for you. Speaking of be made ends, all right. So
I was about to be a colorist, but neither one of those would work. Drake sues Universal Music Group over Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us. Y'all can fill in the blanket where we was going with that. This is some trash. I don't have nothing else to say. I don't even want to. It don't even make no sense.
Right, none whatsoever.
Don't make no sense. Tupac, Biggie, who was LL's beef with?
Kumo D.
Kumo D. We can go back and forth. We can name all the classic rap beefs.
Right.
Nobody sued each other. Nas, Jay-Z, nobody sued each other.
First of all, when the lawsuit dropped, it was about the payola and pay for spins and blah 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 blah.
I ain't even heard from payola since Dreamgirls.
Right. Okay. So now we're talking about allegations that Kendrick made about, Drake being a pedophile. Listen. You don't sue your music company for that. You don't sue your music company for that. If you have a problem with said allegations, you don't sue your music company for that.
But he's suing saying you amped up this song, which was about me. You paid to have ads and placements and different things. They might have done it, but they wasted their money. That song was going to go around the world anyway. Oh, you put it in. You made sure it was in commercials. You made sure it was in different. No, it was going to go in places anyway.
I heard it first on TikTok because TikTok creators were using the song.
Shawnee. Well, she's not O'Neal. She's Henderson now.
Yes.
She's now first lady.
Mm-hmm.
They had a conference. She walked out to that as her intro song.
Listen,
LeBron, you get mad at LeBron because he jamming to it in the car on his personal Instagram live. And you ain't got to have no friends after this. Just move back to Canada permanently. Relinquish.
The flood took his house.
Oh no, that's sad. Go somewhere.
2024 was not kind to Drake, but however,
you started it.
But when you draw first blood, you cannot be mad that it does not turn out the way you thought it was. Now, as far as Drake is concerned, young Drake, hungry Drake, was producing great music. I thought it was clever, and I thought it really was, right? I still jam to early Drake. When you got to the point where you could put anything up on a track and it would go platinum or gold, and they playing it all over the radio because they're doing the same thing. The reason that you think you can sue Universal is because Universal did the same thing for you that you're saying that they did, and you know the system because they did it already for you. Because I know Hotline Bling was a good song. It was okay.
I mean, I don't know if they still play it on radio. I don't really listen to
They
radio.
don't, not really. But there's some of that Drake stuff, some of those, it's like
we only listened to it because you was hot in that moment.
And so you know what, if you're saying that they've done this, you know it because they did it for you, right? And I just think that it demonstrates exactly, you've proved the point that they not like us. But you don't sue your music company.
And they saying it's part of a deal. They talking about if people like Drake go independent, that's gonna break the whole music industry. I mean, the music industry is already broken, and it's because of their fault, but it's also because of technology. And people can put out their own music and virality. But Mr. Aubrey Graham,
yeah, because this is very, very an Aubrey Graham thing to do. This is not a Drake thing to do. This is very.
He don't look. Kendrick don't have to perform Night Like Us next month at all, and he's still gonna rock the Super Bowl.
I mean, even his latest album, which is, oh my God, fire, doesn't even have a song on there.
Don't need
it. It didn't need it.
He had me once he had a Luther intro.
Oh my God, right? And so he and SZA are going on tour. But here's the ultimate thing is that when we don't make a personal decision, that has professional consequences, you lost. Quavo went out. Was it Quavo?
Which one?
The Quavo and his beef with Chris Brown. He got listen.
I forgot.
That one. The brother made a country rap album. Listen,
I didn't take him seriously.
He moved on. He moved on. Take a break. Take a breath. Back up. You lost. Right? What does John Witherspoon tell us? The late great John Witherspoon tell us in Friday. But you live to fight another day.
Go back. Like, we didn't need to hear another Drake anything for years. Retool, get hungry again, and come back out. Enjoy your multi-millions. You don't need to. You don't even need to put out no more new music if you don't want to. Tour, or just not. Just go away. Go away.
Go away. But you still don't sue your label. You don't sue your music company. You take the loss like a man, retool, come back. But if you feel so strongly about the free speech or any allegations made against you that are both criminal, that's not who you sue.
But he not.
Oh,
he
see,
not.
Again. So then, you started it. This is the nature of battle rap. Your ghostwriter went on strike. I don't know. Y'all go back to the lab, find you another one. It's like, hey, Janet Jackson would change choreographers every few years. Change your ghostwriter every few years, get you a new sound. Get you a new sound, baby. Listen, you can't
going back to Jamie Foxx.
Listen. Listen, because you've been Jim early. It's time to get your new sound, baby. Get your new sound. And let this go. Because even if you come back at this point, you have lost all credibility as part of the culture. Because this is what you
did. Get lost. This is
a long time ago. Right.
Particularly with the Meg Thee Stallion situation.
Oh my God, yeah. And you've made some missteps. You've made some Karen missteps.
Oh,
Go
he's
back and do it again. I just saw a TikTok this morning. Young white woman. She got 2 black eyes. Now, there's an old vaudeville joke that said, "What you tell a woman with 2 black eyes? Nothing, because she been told twice." So, but she telling this story, and she's playing outside with her kid, and this girl comes barreling down, and she stops her, and she says, "Hey, you driving too fast. It's a neighborhood, blah, blah, blah." Needless to say, this was a black woman. She stopped. And she says, admittedly, "And I stupidly followed her in my car." You can't play victim when you started it.
when you started it.
So you
It was
can't play
minding his
victim
business.
when you stupidly followed in your car.
That man was minding his business.
So when you drew first blood and you got the first song, that was your first black eye because you lost that one. You did another song, you got another black eye, and you lost that one. Let this go now. You've been told twice. You've been told 3 times. Let this go. Let this go. Because who's going to want to work? Who's going to want to be associated with you at this point? Because you made your career on features. You made your career. You have to be, and even in the work that we do, and I'll take it back to leadership, you have to be mindful on how you respond and treat people in any given situation, because who's going to want to work with you after you have proven yourself to be self-centered, self-aggrandizing? What is step back?
Because I don't really see him, besides DJ Academics, I'm like, who is really caping for Drake? Who got pictures? Who hanging out with him?
At this point, go on and get the wheelchair out and do your Degrassi reboot. Maybe you can be the principal. Maybe you can be the principal at Degrassi High. Go on back to Degrassi. Get the roll yourself on up the step, roll up the ramp, bro, and be be an advocate, be a representative. But you can go on back to Degrassi at this point and start over. Okay, just say. I'm just saying, roll yourself on. Just roll.
To say we first knew you, not as Drake, not as the dude who Lil Wayne co-signed, but as that.
Now that's gonna be interesting about the Super Bowl and the decision that Wayne may or may not have to make.
Oh, he gonna show up on stage.
But there was a little tiff when Kendrick said, my hard work made Wayne mad, and so that may be a little beef.
They was fine. I think Wayne did.
I didn't see it as such, but to mention the name and the whole connection. But Wayne will then, if he shows up on that stage, he's also saying something else. That's also a statement, something else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well,
we'll see.
Roll on, my brother. Roll on.
As we wrap up, because it's been a minute since we talked to y'all, so we kind of knew that this pop culture is gonna go longer.
Yeah.
We don't have much to say about this. By the time you hear this airs, the inauguration. I mean, I'm not paying any attention to it. It's Martin Luther King Day for me. Yeah. None of the former presidents are willing to sit down and break bread with inauguration. Mm-hmm. They are going to what they need to go to so they don't get fined. I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Yep.
And shout out to former First Lady Michelle. Forever First Lady, who is the manifestation of setting your boundaries.
Yes.
And no is a complete sentence. Barack, you was the president. I was not. You go on down to the funeral. You go down to the funeral. Mm-hmm. And I see you when you get back from the inauguration too. I ain't going.
Because she said, I'm not doing it. Get somebody else to do
it.
Get somebody else. And if he's also not going to the luncheon. And so the luncheon to me, even more than standing out there watching him lie with his hand upon the Bible, because we all know that he's not going to defend the Constitution. But hey, you know, it is what it is. Oh, y'all gonna find out. You gonna find out. Okay. So the communion of the luncheon, the intimacy of sitting at a table with someone. It's the same reason that we take our prospective candidates to lunch. It's the same reason that we, going to dinner is a big deal. Sitting down with someone and sharing a meal is an intimate act. And it also co-signs this this administration, right? To be in concert and in communion with someone. No, I wouldn't go either. Barack not going.
Sit down across the table from Scary Elon and Robot Zuckerberg. Zuckerberger.
So I also think that on that day, everyone should delete Facebook and Messenger and Instagram.
I'm close to it. I've done away with Twitter
because I think
I just can't push the button on Amazon just yet.
I can't push it. I thought about it, but
I have a colleague who has, and she goes out for her morals. I can't do it. She
I don't know about Amazon. I don't know what I can do about that 2-day shipping. But when as we said in prep, we thought that Baby Bush was the Antichrist. I can say that as a Democrat, and I'm a yellow dog Democrat, and I'm proud of it. But that was preparation. That was preparation for what is about to happen.
Really did think that was the worst.
But if Baby Bush said he's not going to the luncheon,
that's saying a lot.
That's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. I think back then it was the difference of, yes, racism, I think, of course, always plays a difference in the parties. Classism always plays a difference in the parties. But I even think in looking back now that Baby Bush probably didn't have the capacity for the type of evil that we are about to embark upon.
Because he fundraised for him. That's why I was like, you really, like the first time. He was on the phone fundraising for him. I don't think it went down. He wasn't one of the people that signed on for Kamala publicly.
Right.
But I don't think he fundraised. And even how he spoke to him at Carter's funeral. I mean, in public, like somebody brought up a good not idea, but a good point of they were probably in a green room somewhere, mingling and mixing together, maybe before they came out for the funeral. But even just in the small social cues of like that kind of, tap on the chest, like I think that was a mutual respect between Bush and Barack that they just can't extend that anymore to.
No.
And I really do want to know what Trump and Barack was talking about. But he, in his head, I want to know who was that pretending to be Key and Peele? Which one was?
Oh yeah.
Remember that? He was gonna come out and do a voiceover for what was going on in his head.
I mean, I think Barack, in his political savvy, is going to be nice, kind, Christian, and cordial.
Oh, but we're gonna hear about it next year.
But I'm not coming to eat with you. I'm doing my due diligence to show you that I believe in the transfer of power. You are now the president. I will respect the office of the president.
I don't like you.
But we're not friends. And so I think, and we're never going, I'm going to be nice, kind, Christian, and cordial, but I will respect the office before I respect. And I think that's also a testament to Barack as a leader. Because, and also as a human being, that you may not like the person personally, but you will respect the office in this moment. And I was in a situation like that where I had to tell my superior that I could not usurp the office of another colleague
Yeah.
because they were, and if you wanted me to do the work, you had to give me the job, but I could not usurp my colleague in her role. There was only so much I could do because I had to respect the office, even if he had stopped wanting her to do the work. I could not do that. I had to respect the office of who she was. You cannot go and usurp someone in their official capacities. And so I think going to the inauguration as per their obligation to show that they will respect the peaceful transfer of power is beautiful. But I don't have to go to lunch with you and watch you make a horror-filled plate
And
and eat
Copper
it.
ain't gonna show Vance around the house.
Hey, you
Keys on the
for what?
table. The keys on the table.
Right. For what? And even her response in having to stand there and shake this woman's hand after swearing her into the Senate, and the husband standing there holding the Bible, refuses to shake her hand. And she goes, okay, this is how y'all want to do this. If you want to play it,
She cursed him
okay.
out in her head. I saw it all over.
And because see, she adds syllables to her hard K's, and I get that. But it's a prime example of the religiosity as opposed to really these people, they walking around holding Bibles.
They read and lived out not a verse.
Not one song.
Not nothing in red. Not nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing in red.
But when the revelation comes, they're gonna be trying to figure out, wait a minute. What do you say?
Too late.
No. So
Too late.
when you have those examples of leaders, we have been in situations where you had to have a transfer of power. I stayed an extra 3 months to help my successor, and in doing some final things as she was getting acclimated to do that, to make the final presentations at the council, to do the diversity plan, to get things ready, to say, okay, here are where your problems are, this is what's going to happen. Now, was that kindness extended to me? No, it was not. But I felt that was the right thing for me to do, and the right thing for me as a leader to say, hey, this is the way it is. I understand this. This will be a transfer. I'm going to make this easy for you because I know the job itself is not easy. I'm going to do my part to make this easier for you. Right. Now, of course, some things you keep, work product, and you do the best you can. And sometimes you have to take your stuff with you. But that being said, for me to stay an extra 3 months to make sure that there is a transfer of power was something that I wanted to do.
And it was bigger than you. It was
Right.
so the students don't get caught in the
Exactly.
of things crumbling.
And faculty and students and faculty to make sure
the respect for the institution.
Right. Because at the end of the day, it's the institution that really matters, and no one person is bigger than the institution, and we have to all understand that. And I think in the institution, in this case, the United States of America and our democracy, which was under attack 4 years ago, okay, because they did not respect the transfer of power and the democracy. And so what I think Presidents Clinton and Obama and Bush are doing is respecting the transfer of power. I completely respect them for that. But at the same time, I completely respect my forever First Lady for saying that is not my duty. I will respect the transfer of power as a citizen, but I don't have to be a party to that.
Nope, I did it
and
once.
Yep.
She grinded her teeth doing it, but she did it gracefully one time, and that's all you get.
That's it.
That's it.
And that's all anybody deserves of your time and attention. She did it the first time because that was her duty.
Mm-hmm.
This is not her duty. This is not her fight. Baby, you go. I'll be here when you get back.
I'm going to be the smaller person in this situation.
Listen, because she says what? When they go high, when they go low, we go high. Now see, but she been high so long. She been high so long. My good brothers and sisters who are listening.
This is
she
high
been high so long.
It's at the house.
Her
My
high
house
is to be at the house. Because if y'all make her sit there, she may go low, and y'all not ready for that south side of Chicago to tell you exactly what she feels right there on the steps. No, you're not. No, you're not.
And she got to say a word. All she got to do is look.
Baby.
Look and swing her micro braids.
That's it.
Love it.
Love it. Love you, Michelle. You have taught us all. We're not coming, and we don't have to go. And no is a complete sentence.
I'm claiming my time. I'm not even giving anything away. I'm claiming it. It's not a reclaim. No. I am claiming it.
That's right.
Ain't going nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on to our higher ed, we could have easily made this a whole pop culture since we ain't been here. But we're going to do a couple of live podcasts, and so we'll be able to do some more fun stuff. Yes. But in the keeping with the theme of transition of power, who's in and who's out in higher ed. So we've been watching a couple of things. One thing, there's a new president at Dillard. Over the break, the president of Dillard University in New Orleans stepped down. The interim was named in her spot. I want to say Dr. Monique Guillory. Yes. So she's in place there. Talladega College has an interim, Dr. Kimbrough.
Yes, I
don't know why his name couldn't come out.
What's Kimbrough?
But he's truly interim. They're looking for a new president. And something that shocked us was Bennett College president, Susan Elise Walsh stepped down 2 days ago.
Yes.
So you look this up and talking through some of the high points of when we followed when she came in because Bennett was in trouble.
Right.
And so she's, a handful of presidents who have had an opportunity to take over a failing school. I can recall college in Texas.
Yes. Yes.
He's still there doing well. I cannot think of any names today, y'all. The college in Georgia, Paul Quinn. No, Paul Quinn was in college in Georgia.
Payne?
Is that in Georgia? It was an AME. It was an AME school. I don't know if they still attached. Purple and white. I know all the details except the name. They were on Drumline. What's the name of that school? Whatever. They're doing good work.
Okay.
You looking for it?
Yes. Yes, I am.
And then Bennett was another small institution where the incoming president had a lot of challenges to keep that school open. And she was one of them. She served since 2019. I thought it was longer than that, although, like we said, she might feel longer. But she served as president since 2019, and she did some really great work because they were on the brink of closing. They had to change accreditors from SACS to TRACS. Every time I see SACS COC, I giggle.
Yeah, it was Payne College.
Payne is in Georgia. Okay. Paul Quinn was in Texas.
Yes.
I should know this because I am born and bred AME.
Right.
And through youth, you had to memorize all the colleges that were there, right? They redesigned. I thought this was such a novel idea when you told me they redesigned a mini-semester academic model to reduce the cognitive load. I like that word. That word.
Yes.
For students, boosting the retention rate to over 85% for 4 consecutive years. years.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Mhm.
Faculty led a curriculum redesign to align programs to the college mission. And Bennett earned accolades including Fulbright, HBCU institutional leader for 5 years, number one ranking on social mobility, which is super important for one, a
Mhm.
HBCU, two,
Yes.
a women only's HBCU,
Yes.
and designation best woman's college by Best College.
Mhm.
Really great work. And she's not a traditional academician. She's a JD. But I think when you come in with strategy, you
Yeah.
lead with grace, you listen to the people that's there, and you don't let innovation scare you. I think
Right.
you can do good stuff, but I know for that, like for all of that change, you can't come in and want do the same old thing. You
Right.
have to think of somebody that thought outside the box.
I think, it's a testament to how the president and the faculty work together,
Mm-hmm.
because what they also understood, even in the midst of something must change, that they work together because they realize the institution is more important than my fear
Yeah.
of the change that may happen. And just the idea of doing mini mesters to reduce that cognitive load, not only on the students, but also faculty.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so how that works for them for their retention rate, which means they are on the road to financial stability. And so to move from near closure to sort of stability to now I can focus on the thriving
Yeah.
is important. And I can see the next leader of Bennett, whoever that may be, can expand that mini master model to include adult learners,
Mm-hmm.
um, and really beefing up in that area and across the world, and then also online learning. So that kind of model and that kind of innovation is what is going to save higher ed, and particularly Black higher ed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Um,
getting I'm getting messages about, other, Talladega. That's going to be an interesting search because Dr. Kimbrough has been a president at Philander Smith as well as Dillon. So the fact that he's helping with that search is a lot.
yeah, I
And
can't
as we
see
go
her.
quiet,
Moving on.
we're not gonna.
Moving
Okay,
on.
moving
So
on.
I don't know if you got to our show notes. I wanted to keep this because I wanted to see, because out of the two of us, one is more presidential than the other. And one's more presidential than the other. But I do think that you do have a great grasp because you have served in senior
Hmm.
leadership
Yeah.
for so long. Um so I just pulled, this is another hot off the press. I just pulled this AGB article. It popped up on my LinkedIn this morning. And they talked about all the institutions they help with presidential searches for 22 and 2024. And
Hmm.
I wanted to see if you could, how close you can get to the challenges that the board of trustees named, and the characteristics they were looking for in presidential candidates. It's 5. Um,
Okay.
so I pose that question to you. What do you think the next wave of presidential candidates need to have? And it could be a part 2, because sometimes
Yeah.
boards want
Yeah.
some other stuff. Boards could want one thing, and what the actual institution needs is another. So let's go with the question that's in the article. What do you think the board of trustees prioritize in terms of characteristics of presidential candidates?
It's going to always be the finances. It's
Okay.
always going to be how do we streamline, how do we maximize, how do we rebudget, how do we do more with less, right? The second thing is going to always be, well, even though it should be the first thing, should be enrollment, but it's always the second thing because enrollment drives the finances. And you don't have enrollment, particularly in Black higher ed, because we are enrollment driven. And the move to being endowment driven is just out of reach for a lot of HBCUs, most of them, of the 107 at my last count, 107. It's always going to be the enrollment because that's going to drive your budget. And if you don't have, and you have some HBCUs operating at less than 1,000 students, and you can't, it's very difficult for a board to understand, and that's who they're going to be looking for, who's going to drive enrollment to right side the budget to break even as opposed to going into the red.
Do you think it's the same for PWIs in terms of finance?
You know, it's interesting when I see that PWIs, when PWIs are closing and they say they've got $100 million in the endowment and we're going, what? You're like, you know, it's a different, it shades, right? It's different. I know that in 2012 or 2013, Sweetbriar was about to close and they sitting on, 80 million in the endowment or some number, millions. And then I'm thinking, y'all can't, like, what's happening? So it's different. I think PWIs have it as well because they are also, a lot of them are, tuition driven. But the way they maximize those dollars, a way they consider what we consider big money, they may not always, because if they're heavily resourced or they have a high alumni giving rate, that 80 million to them may feel, is not enough. It's different, and that's also cultural, very much so. If you give an HBCU $80 million, and of course the highest endowment institution is Spelman and Morehouse, and they're like at 300 million, but they also invested well, and had great investments. But you have some schools operating with $2 million in the endowment, or even 8 million. Anything less, so these are the concerns, and it is different for PWIs on how they can approach money differently because they don't have the struggle. If you're talking about a Bryn Mawr that's charging $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
And somehow that's getting paid, right? Because there's also a respect for that institution. But if you're talking about a small private HBCU that's struggling to have students who have the $17,000 that it takes, and on that one student, you've got to pay professors, and it takes 3 students to pay us a professor's salary and benefits. So if you only have 600, we're talking about, and that's just talking about faculty. We're not talking about staff who actually have to do the work on another side of the house. So, those are the two things. You got to pull up enrollment, and they're going to be looking for who can fundraise, who can go out there and beat the bushes and find the checks and make the connections.
You missing 2 more.
2 more. What is more important than money?
I mean, you hit the first 2.
I hit the first 2? Okay.
And you hit number 4, so you're missing number 3 and number 5, which I don't agree with this order, but that's a different conversation.
That's the order that they have. They also want, you hear a lot about workforce development. You hear a lot about, what are they going to have a job when they leave, Now, it's interesting, and I think that's a good thing, depending on if you can get them into that. The problem for me is that the scorecard, which talks about what is their earning potential 5 years after, but it doesn't include those students who go to graduate school.
Yeah.
Who are living on TA-ships. And when that gets reported, it's not reported as they're in graduate school on a GA or a TA-ship or a fellowship. It's reported as income, right? And in that way, so it doesn't break that down. I think the scorecard does a real disservice to HBCUs that have really privileged graduate and professional school, because it takes some time, right?
Yeah.
Because we've always had to have more degrees to be considered the same as a student coming out of a PWI with a bachelor's degree. It's unfortunate, but it is the reality. So yeah, workforce development, can we get them into the big companies? Can we get them into the Amazons? Can we get them into the Googles? Can we get them into the Fortune 500 companies? coming straight out of the gate.
Yeah.
But what boards sometimes do not understand is, in order to do that, you have to privilege having a strong faculty, making sure that you have internships. But here's the thing, if the internships are in New York City and I'm at a school in Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, that student may need a flight.
Yeah.
And so you got to really understand, boards really have to understand how all of those things are organic in the long run. And so if I make a student who needs a flight to get to this prestigious internship, and you say, well, we got you the internship, but you should be able to get the $500 flight, they can't.
No.
Whereas our skin in the game, so it's organic to, I got to beef up enrollment to stabilize my finances so that I can assist students in the best possible life.
Yeah.
And in these opportunities, and create some opportunities, create some experiences, so that what happens when they graduate and I get them across that stage, that they want to give back. And it doesn't take the 20 years of nausea to nostalgia to give it back. That it becomes part of them wanting to join your alumni association as soon as they graduate. That they want to make those inroads when they get to those Fortune 500 companies, to give back their time, even if they don't have the money at the time, but to give back their time until they can give the money. Until give back, be that person who can be a liaison for somebody else having an internship, to be a mentor in the field, right? So
Yeah.
all of those things are organic. And so I think that sometimes boards focus on the one thing, but now how the one thing, the finances, affect everything else.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
So the one that you missed specifically was strategic planning.
Yeah. Everybody loves a great strategic plan. They make it pretty,
collect dust and don't do nothing. You ain't got no money to do.
And so they have all of these goals and the goals, and I think that's wonderful. But they have no plan on how to affect that. And one thing that I would use if I were to be granted a presidency, don't bring me a strategic plan. Don't require a strategic plan if you're not going to put the metrics in and how to judge them, but not necessarily just the metrics. You have to put the finances behind it. I can't say that I want to recruit high quality faculty, but I don't give them any funding to go to conferences. I don't give them any funding to do the work. We want to increase our grant production, but I don't have a subscription to Cost Pivot. They don't even know what's out there because we don't have the tools. Academic writing and grant writing are two different things. Am I giving them the tools to learn how to write the grants the way in which the funders want their grants to be written? And every grant funder, so you have to have a strategic plan that is measurable, but that is funded. Don't make it pretty to send out to say this is what we're going to do when you're not funding the strategic plan.
I don't like strategic plans that are so out of touch with reality that it's you not planning for the everyday work we got to do.
Right.
Like it's like let's strategically plan around the real work, have some aspirational goals, but it should be something embedded that every day we working toward it, and it goes with our natural stream. Like don't create another program for the already, tax advising center to do.
Right.
How about you make them better and give them to build capacity and naturally, or just improve the programs you got?
I think it would be helpful to do the strategic planning in reverse, so that every department and sector has a strategic plan, right? The strategic plans from advising the registrar financial aid. Those strategic plans are then collapsed, not as a complete whole, but those sectors that have to work together, then let's decide in year 1, in year 2, in year 3, what will be our priorities to get this done. That informs your institutional plan. What happens a lot of time is that the institution creates this strategic plan with the high level executive suite, and then you say, okay, this is what we want. But you haven't asked the registrar what they need, the people who are doing the work, right? What they need. And in order for us to progress, so that you're not always looking for a new leader, that you are looking, and you're not always looking for mid-level directors because you've overworked them, because you never asked them what they needed. I've been in situations where you get a whole new computer system, right? But you didn't buy this particular module. You didn't buy that module because you didn't ask the people who needed to use the modules or who needed to do their work what they needed.
And it was cheaper what they asked for than to give them what you think they needed.
But it's as I tell people, you can make the investment on the front end, or you're gonna make it in the back end. And any time, and I just had this same thing. I had, it was payday. You know, when it's payday, you want to eat good. And I wanted some crab legs and a crab, you know, get my bag. And I didn't want to pay DoorDash it and pay $70. Because what I usually get is the big bag, $35, you know, by the time you add the tip and the blah, 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 and get the husband something, right? And the bill was going to be $70. So I said, no, let me get a smaller one with just the crab legs and da da da. I picked the wrong thing. Didn't get what I normally get. I picked the wrong thing and it had crawfish in it. I don't like crawfish. All right.
Shut your mouth.
Unless it's fried. I'm not doing it. So, because I'm trying to save $20, I couldn't eat anything but shrimp and crawfish. I couldn't eat anything but the shrimp and the, and the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We try to save $20. I saved $20 and then had the most disappointing meal ever. I should have just spent the extra $20.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so that's really how we ought to think about, you know, when we're making these sweeping changes with new leadership and new administration, have the conversations with the people who actually have to do the work. Because at the end of the day, for boards and for the executive leadership teams, they are transients.
They are.
And if you want to bring a new leader in, they must understand culture, be able to embrace the newness of a new culture, but also recognize that they are coming into a culture. And it may be difficult in how they can work to get some new changes in, but also to understand what the work is and what the challenges is from the people who do. The challenges are from the people who do the work. And I think that's what's missing in these leadership changes.
Yeah.
And all the rest of it will work out.
Yeah. So their order was fundraising, proven ability to secure funding, identify new funding sources and long-term financial challenges. I would love to see a fundraising, not just getting short-term, but actually building in income streams that monetize the best that the institution has to offer. The number 2 is financial acumen, which is 2 totally different things. You can bring the money in, but can you make the money work?
Right.
Can you work the money? So candidates need to effectively manage existing resources, collaborating with CFOs to assess financial conditions and develop strategic visions for resource management. Number 3, strategic planning, ability to craft. I think everybody can do that because you're going to pay some high price consulting firm, or you can, still pay us, but we're going to get the work done. Holistic higher education solutions.
Yes, we get it. But
implement long range strategies for crucial involving collaboration with boards, cabinets, and key stakeholders. Now, the thing is, just like we talked, who are the key stakeholders? But they'll go to the community, the alumni, sometimes the students, sometimes the staff. But your key people sitting right in your face, who pays the money? Is it students?
Right.
One,
Students.
we miss their voice. Faculty and staff, especially people who've been there a long time. We miss those key stakeholders.
Right.
But I also think it's communication. But boards also have to know that things may not work the way that you want them to. Sometimes you might miss the first quarter goals, but you're working on it. But they don't even realize how hard it is to get through a day.
No, they do not.
They don't understand the fires that come along. Plus, you got to do your real work. They don't understand the pace of it.
It's the pace,
how much
but you're dealing
work goes into being a higher ed faculty or staff.
Yeah, and it's also you're dealing with human beings.
Yeah.
And so you're dealing with human beings who are tired, hurt, because HBCU hurt, particularly, is just like church hurt. And they're coming every day, and they're not feeling validated, they're not feeling valued, and it's been going on for 10 years, and here comes somebody new, and they haven't been healed yet. And you know what some of them needed was an apology.
Yeah.
We don't know, and new leaders come in and don't know who as Ofo said, who shot John, but they're the ones who take the brunt of it in trying to affect change to make it better. As I told a faculty member, I said, you all been fighting so long, you don't know when you've won. Yeah. And I think boards also have to understand that part of it, and that take some accountability in some of the decisions that they have made that have hurt the community, and that they are not without being able to say, hey, we made a bad choice on this. We should have done that. And that, what a lot of boards don't realize is that will go a long way in galvanizing a college community. Yeah. You know, we learn this in terms of parenting, that it's okay to apologize to your children. You know, I love Good Times. I'm a Good Times aficionado, and there's a Good Times episode for everything. And I remember first season, Michael wouldn't, said something bad about George Washington, and James is about to give him a whipping, and he gets to talking, and, Florida been in, oh, please don't whip him. And James apologized to Michael. And he said, well, Dad, if you can apologize to me, I can go back to school and apologize to Mrs. Danvers. So sometimes if boards can apologize for some of their missteps and not shift or gaslight the campus community, because they're there every day. Yeah. If you can apologize to them and heartfelt to do so, in a heartfelt way, and say, listen, we tried this leader, listen, we're not going to disparage anybody, but it just didn't work out. Or you made some policies that don't force a policy that is clearly not working, as opposed to saying, okay, what do we need to do? This is not working. Let's change this. If you can do that, then I can guarantee you that campus community will respond to you and to new leadership. And you will not have a high turnover rate. You will be a first choice employer and place for students, because your employees are happy when those students walk in financial aid. Yeah. Yeah. Because financial aid is trying to tell you, these are what the new regs are. This is going in the opposite of that, and I can't do this. And if you're pushing back and they're trying to tell you, because this is what they do every day, it doesn't work. And then you create a disgruntled employee. You create a problem where you didn't have to have one. It's about the humanity of it all. Yeah. And I think we forget. I think boards sometimes because a lot of boards are from business areas, or they're from the law, and higher ed is completely different. I can guarantee you there'll be several boards, college boards or regents, who have no higher ed leadership experience or the training that AGB provides, really. And to take that seriously on how to be a good board. And so part of that is forgetting that these are human beings that you're dealing with.
Yeah. I think, and going on to the last two, which I disagree in just my theory of change. I think some boards come in and all they see is what's wrong. And they have this negative picture, and they're already negative reading board reports, and but they're not even focused on what's right. And usually what's right is the first things they cut. And like it's the craziest thing. But if you focus on, we got good people, we got good staff, let's problem solve from there, instead of saying all of this is messed up, the staff is incompetent, students are complaining, we can't do anything right, this is a horrible semester, retention is like, they go from that angle and not go from the other angle of, these people want to be here, they want to help, let's problem solve from that standpoint. It'll be a different outcome every time.
Yeah, right. I think we should always lead with the good. The other thing is that a lot of new presidents bring in some very well-paid, high-paid executives, and yet then you don't have the money to do the work.
Yep.
Because they stack their cabinets, and I get that. They stack their cabinets and they expect them to do the work, and well, you know what I mean. Like, you don't have any money in the budget to actually do the programming or to do the events.
To pay the people well
who
are
on
the ground doing the work.
On the ground with the students. And so, because your leaders, even your executive cabinet, are to have vision, to effect your vision, work with their vision in making this a success. But you have to support the people on the ground who are in the real day-to-day with the students every day. You got to lead with the good, and you've got to have multiple conversations. What happens is that boards, especially if you have a lot of alums on the board, or so they know people, and the people are telling them, and they're getting skewed reports. So they're already coming in with their own ideas, because people that they've known for years have called them up and said, I don't like what they doing over there in student success. What is a can-do festival? They're just wasting money. And I saw the children around there riding tricycles. What's going on? Without really having a conversation about why these things are important. What they having a lock-in for? Dr. Wheeler just over there spending money. What is she doing? She just hiring people. These are real conversations, people. We are giving you the real deal, Holyfield. And
that's not. It's not. And I worked at bigger universities where the board was so far removed that they may not hear those things. But there are sometimes larger institutions who do have, like, some people do have a connection to the board, and they may get that one-sided perspective.
So the board has to be trained in how to listen, validate, but verify.
Yes.
Before they make a conversation. Listen, validate.
It may be a signal to turn your ear, but it can't be, you can't make decisions based on that one conversation of a person who's privileged enough to know you, to tell you that conversation.
Exactly.
Number 4, enrollment management, enrollment and student success.
Yeah.
So my theory is, if we actually put enrollment and student success first, that we wouldn't have to worry. That is fundraising. That is fundraising.
But enrollment management,
money.
Yeah. And enrollment management is more than just getting new students in. It is an entire campus experience. It is what we do. It just became a catchphrase for me, right? But if you focus on student success, if you give, I have seen so many faculty come out of their own pockets, and they don't have the pockets are shallow as it is, but they can't get enough. They can't get money for a pizza party. They can't get money to put nabs and old school. That's tell you I'm 50. For some of our younger listeners, those cheese and crackers, they can't get cheese and cracker packs and candy to put in a drawer for students who need something a boost during the middle of the day.
And the high
They
touch areas, especially academic high touch areas, don't get what
yeah,
they need.
that's right.
They don't get what
You
they need.
you don't see those innovations as important.
Mm-mm.
That engagement and those little things. I had a fight for bringing in speakers. Because it's like, well, you're spending money on these speakers and you're buying their books and and I thought, but the alum in them that we're creating is going to remember this fondly and give back to make sure that students have these types of experiences. You never know what that means. We had some great speakers, had a great time. We did a lot in the 2 years and 4 days I was there, I'm just saying. But to have those kind of arguments, because people can't see the vision of it, that's student success if it
I
keeps
worked
them back.
at a larger institution.
Yeah.
And that had a population 2,600. My position was the first permanently funded position they ever had. And this is 2012.
Wow.
And I was like, that is crazy. Like, that is crazy to me.
Right.
But still not. And that's my soapbox for student success and especially learning centers, is that that's the way that you retain students. Do you know that students leave? Between the right advising, proactive advising, my soapbox is coaching. We'll talk about that this season. If you put money to your most important stakeholders, if you reinvest in them, the return on investment is going to save the whole university. That's
right.
the new model that we have to operate in. No longer are, the learning center is for the people who came. I forgot. We had a colleague that literally said, I thought you know where I'm going with this. I thought you did psychometry. I'm like, lady, this ain't the 1970s. Students can read. They're not illiterate. They just need help with understanding chemistry.
Right.
The help that anybody needs to understand that.
Right.
The 4.2s, the now the dual enrollment credit habit bearing kids come in and still can't pass the class that they had in high school.
Exactly.
We're in a new world where students need more things. You're coming in with people on the spectrum. You're coming in with students who may come from wealthy families but are super toxic and they need some mental health capabilities. Or students who come from, great schools who don't have no kind of sense of self-regulation. They can't do anything on their own. They don't have any adulting skills. They've been helicopter parented.
Coddled,
lawnmower parented for years. They can't stand on their own 2 feet. We are dealing with a whole new generation, and that's just the traditional college students. Don't talk about the non-traditional, which I hate that phrase now because it's non-traditional is not a traditional student.
Exactly.
Traditional students don't even want college. Like, if we focus our efforts on figuring out the humps that students need to get over in order to get to the next semester successfully, just one at a time. Let's see what they need to pass this class. Because if they pass this class, they can pass another, and have a 2.0.
Right.
Let's start there. If we start there and so I want to see number 4 pushed up.
Yes.
And number 5 is workforce engagement. That's last. That's, again, like you said, that is fundraising. That is alumni.
That's alumni.
I still the pence that I have, I'm going to give, but that's how you raise money. Like, you give them great paying jobs, but also on that, you have to employ some people who currently work in the workforce. You can't you
Right.
got to open some doors to let some people come in who are currently there and know what's needed so you can update your academic curriculum and
Hmm.
you have the right projects and things that students need to know.
Right.
Um, but it's also you need some actual um competence so students can enter the workforce successfully. And the workforce people, like, it's not the knowledge that they need. We can't get them to come to work on understanding,
Hmm.
come to work on time and communication.
Right.
Those hard soft skills, those soft skills are not hard skills. They
Exactly.
Everything looks different. Your the what you're asking the students to do in terms of grades look different. Now it's
Mhm.
not only about the grades and the test. Are you coming to class on time?
Right.
Are you communicating? Are you actually doing the work and not asking for a handout? Like all
It's we have reports of employers not even wanting to hire Gen Z and
that.
now Gen Alpha because they don't have the soft skills to be successful, because they cannot be criticized, because they cannot take direction, because they can't come to work on time. So we have to do all of that. And I think boards have to understand that if the last time you engaged really on a college campus
Mhm.
was when you were in school, and you might have been a different type of student, and now you sit on the board, but you're not listening to the people who are there to understand that this is different now. That students, we have students who may be technologically savvy on social media, but they can't engage in person.
Yeah.
Or they can't read cursive. They can't write cursive. They can't write a check. They don't know how to sign their names. We're talking about the stuff we learned in the fourth grade that they've taken out systematically from these public schools, right? Some
True.
of them. You're talking about some who have no financial support from their families. You're talking about kids who are fighting their families about even going to college. We have the mental health issues because we've created this world of anxiety, right? Which is very real, but we have to also address it. So if
Yeah.
you only have one counselor in your mental health center, then that's a problem.
Yes.
Because we know that one of the greatest threats to student success is mental health.
Yep.
I've had good students go into bits and bouts of depression and they can't get out for 2 and 3 weeks. Can't get out of their rooms for 2 and 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They can't do any work, or they tell me yours is the only class I can get to.
Yep.
Because I make this also a safe space. Because I have, as a faculty member now, understood that when a child comes into my room, whether it's in a class or in my office, I can look at them and say, okay, what's wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And give them that moment to talk because they trust me.
Yep. And that
Right?
can be
And
done
so,
at a large institution or a small if you're set up
exactly.
for that. This is not like
Right.
small institute. Well, we're a large research one institute. No, you can
No,
have that customized personal experience for every student if you do it right.
if you do it right. But what I think, and sometimes boards don't even know salary structures on
Nope.
the ground, and they don't understand because they've been making good money a very long time. But if I tell you that the woman who taught you, who's still working, you about to retire and they still working and they making less than $40,000 a year, and you go, what? Well, we tried to so you don't even really do the deep dive
Mm-hmm.
to understand why people are tired, they're exhausted, and they're angry, and
Mm-hmm.
they're hurt
Mm-hmm.
because they see people come in making more than them that they got to train, or or you got money for this, but I need money. I need money for student success over here, and I got to fight to purchase pencils. I don't have the module that I need. So you're making more work for me. Y'all bought this system, but you never asked us, and we're the ones that have to do the work. These are all so the list and the ranking lets me know that boards have to be more conversant with what's going on at the institutions that they are charged with leading. That is their fiduciary responsibility.
Mm-hmm. And this seems like business as usual.
Yeah.
If they would change these priorities and put support around training around it, like fundraising and financial acumen, it's somebody there, but you can also train for that. If you put somebody in place who has true student success as president, that's transformation.
Right.
And I'm not just caping for me. I've seen it done well. I've seen it people who have that. And for one of the things that I do appreciate about the hip hop press, because I have heard him work with him. He also was on my podcast. The last podcast I had 4 students. He did come from the student affairs, and that was a trend where they were taking student affairs professionals, VPs, and elevating them to president versus a provost into presidency. And I think that is why he has been successful, because it's not the traditional person that's there. But even in that, I'm pretty sure he had to get training around how to read financial statements and fundraising and all of that. But because he had that student focus, he did last longer in that position with success because of that. And I would love to see more of student success personnel getting that leadership development support. Hey, we do that over here too. But leadership support to elevate them so they can be on the path to be presidency and see more and advocate for themselves that they do have what it takes to be in those senior leadership roles.
Yeah, I think. And also recognize, we have a lot of separation between student affairs and academic affairs, but they're all organic to the other. Right? And if you can design student programming that is both academic and fun, and sometimes just fun. We just need the cognitive rest and we don't want to do anything. But that you're always having these conversations, that you're always to be engaged, even in those fun times, ice cream socials where kids are talking about, I'm this major, I'm that. That's still an academic exercise, right? And I think a lot of times we have these separations between what is student life and what is that. Their student life is academic life, and academic life is their student life. And so that when we try to think about their humanity and their becoming, that we have to see these as the holistic, a holistic experience. And I think that's what a lot of presidents forget or are not cognizant of or not operating in. And the boards are not as well, because they see a lot of them, again, coming from business and coming from the law world and business, because, it's oversight. To understand that, the issues are. And I think you're right. A student affair, because the students will love them, and a president who is beloved by the students, just like any other, like a faculty member, a staff member, if they're beloved by the students, they'll stick around until they decide to leave. But I think we're going to have to get to a point where there is some conjoining of those two things.
Yeah.
At least in theory.
Yeah.
To understand. Yeah.
Well, our time is at hand. Any parting thoughts?
Well, it's a new year. Explore some new experiences. Avail yourself to the newness of life in this new world. Go watch The Handmaid's Tale. That's my...
I can't.
Prepare yourself.
Escapism.
It is, yeah, well, I'm waiting on the final season. Just sort of enjoy life. It is such a fleeting thing.
Yeah.
That we enjoy life, and that, as we said earlier, and I think as you said, to make the best decisions for yourself and for those you love. And that's the parting word for this first episode of season 2. Enjoy your life, and no is a complete sentence.
I concur. I don't even need any more important thoughts. I'll be good mine. Well, thank y'all for listening. Share this podcast. We're going to do more in terms of marketing and getting this into hands. We have a whole vision for this, creating a community. Sure, we're going to pretty soon. We're going to launch our newsletter, so we'll be able to get some of these stories to your inbox and build a community around people who think outside the box and want to see a new higher ed
Yes.
and for the better. So thank you all. I don't even have I forgot my parting thing. I used to say something at the end of these podcasts to close this out. I don't even know.
What a new one.
I know. But yes, see y'all next time. Thank you for joining. Be sure to share and like, and give this to a colleague and keep fighting the good fight. We are supporting y'all, from the outside, but still supporting.
Indeed.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks again. See you later. See you on the other side of this so we can have our post podcast chat.
All right.
All right.
Thanks for listening. This episode was sponsored by Holistic Higher Ed Solutions, committed to enhancing student success. From coaching to planning, our practitioners empower institutions. Ready to transform? Visit holisticheredsolutions.com and let's revolutionize higher ed together. Be sure to subscribe, review, and join us next time. Thanks for listening. This episode was sponsored by Holistic Higher Ed Solutions, committed to enhancing student success. From coaching to planning, our practitioners empower institutions. Ready to transform? Visit holisticheredsolutions.com and let's revolutionize higher ed together. Be sure to subscribe, review, and join us next time.